Hi, I'm Steve Nathans Kelly, editor of Streaming Media Producer. Today I had the opportunity to speak with Eli Stonberg, CEO of Hovercast. Hovercast is a platform and a service that's all about delivering engaging, lean-forward, interactive virtual events. They've done innovative work with brands, political campaigns, and public television. They're all about gamification that elevates virtual event experiences from passive viewing to active participation. Eli and I talked about what they do and how they approach it, and what Eli and Hovercast see as the future of remote production, and how causes and brands will continue to leverage it when the world hopefully opens up a bit more and gamified virtual experiences are no longer the only game in town. It'd be great just to start with just a little bit of background about what Hovercast is, what it's all about. I'm going to try not to say hovercraft during.
You wouldn't be the first.
Yeah, I'm going to do my best here, but yeah. So just kind of what is it, and then how long have you been doing it, and kind of what brought you to it?
Cool. So Hovercast is a virtual events platform that is all about finding meaningful engagement in the two-way conversation between audience and live show. So we started as an interactive graphics tool set in 2018, and we would work on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook and make all of those platforms more interactive. We've progressed to be kind of an all-in-one virtual events tool as well. And yeah, we're really interested in exploring ways that the audience can be a part of a live stream.
And so I was reading about your involvement with campaign events in 2020, and I think I probably attended a number of them. I was reading that you were involved with campaign events in Wisconsin. I think I saw some of those. I used to live there, so
Oh,
kind
cool.
of a big deal to me. But
Yeah, we're really proud of what we did in that state.
so now, were you involved with that first the Princess Bride event? Was that
Not the Princess Bride. We did
Happy Days?
In Wisconsin, we did Happy Days, we did Super Bad, and we did a big comedy show with kind of Sarah Silverman and a few other big comedians.
Oh, okay, cool. Um, yeah, I've seen some of these events, and just let's just take it as an example. The most recent one I think I saw. And if this was not a typical event, maybe just talk about one that's a little more typical. But so I saw the one with the Georgia Democrats and the Elf table read. So with an event like that, sort of what are they bringing to the table besides the source material and the talent, and then what are they looking for from you? Is it the streaming platform, graphics, so it doesn't just look like Zoom? Is it interactivity and gamification, or the way of taking donations, or is it all of that?
Yeah, it's all of the above, and in that case, the video production. We don't always do remote production, but we can. Um, but yeah, what you get from that show is a custom white labeled website that looks just like their branding. So in that case, it was really fun holiday elf themed website branding. And we for that one, we have the live stream as kind of the hero, as well as a custom chat that we provide, and the Act Blue donation buttons. And then the interaction that goes on the side with the chat and the donations make their way into the interactive graphics that happen in the live stream. So in that example, we had a really fun kind of candy cane style donation meter. And when it filled all the way to the top, a narwhal came out, which is an elf, kind of happens in the elf movie. And then we had really interesting tickers that showed donor names. And so we took quotes from the movie and put custom donor names inside those quotes, which was pretty neat and kind of caused people to want to get involved and donate. And I think what made that show really exciting was just this kind of serendipitous moment where in the movie, there's this climax of the movie is basically like Santa needs more Christmas spirit to get his sleigh off the ground and escape Central Park, right? And so they're doing that read and it's happening. And just kind of coincidentally, the audience was really close to their donation goal. And it was just this really magical moment where we have this goal meter and the audience was kind of encouraging each other to get there. We're so close. And meanwhile, the cast is reading about, needing more Christmas spirit, and they hit their goal within about 2 minutes of the show ending. And it kind of all happened and came together. And that's this example of an audience that has become part of the live show. And I really love that sort of collective two-way relationship.
So with other projects, is it more common for you to be doing that sort of white glove approach where you're bringing all of your involvement and creativity to it, or are there more where people are kind of building it within your platform, just using the tools that are there?
It's definitely a mix. So our tool can be used by broadcast teams. It's sort of an Adobe style tool at the moment. We're in the works on building a more creator friendly self-serve tool set that will be extremely easy to use that anyone can use. So that is coming soon, but for the time being, our tool is sort of a professional or semi-professional tool. So it takes a little bit of training, but definitely video teams use it all the time. And, for example, Bernie Sanders is still a client and they have the Friends of Bernie Sanders and they're off doing, 2 shows a week using our tool and with no involvement from us. But we also have many clients who come to us who say, I don't know how to live stream at all. Can you help me out? And so we help them out. We also have a lot of live stream partners who, streaming professionals who know how to use the tool, and we can kind of play matchmaker. So it's kind of an all of the above situation. We got into this, my co-founder and I are ex music video and commercial directors. And so we certainly know about the world of production. And we got into this thinking we don't want to touch production at all because it doesn't scale. But, there's definitely times where folks need our help and it's worth it to make the show great.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic given how old Bernie himself is, that I would just assume that his campaign and people that are working with him, are actually younger and more tech savvy and able to do this than most campaigns.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't
they're
surprise
pretty
me.
sharp.
Yeah. So one of the things that we've seen, streaming media just over the last year as, more remote production has been visible and happening, is that there was, particularly like in the music world, there was this progression from people just sort of doing a little living room concert where there just wasn't much to it. It was just real bare bones. Have you felt like there's been an education process that you've had to do with clients to say interactivity, gamification, lean forward is really important, is critical to what you want to
Yeah,
achieve?
I'm absolutely. I've been doing it for years, but especially more recently, I think when COVID started, the bar was pretty low. It was basically like turn on a Zoom, and quickly folks started thinking, how can I go beyond this and elevate the broadcast? And there's a number of ways to do that, and one of which is doing things that sort of Twitch has really been a showcase of for years, which is involve the chat, involve the community. They can be part of the show. And so that's an educational process that I'm always talking to folks about is how can you leverage the audience to actually make your show better and not just be sort of on the sidelines.
I think with the degree of interactivity that you're going for, and that your projects, I think, would tend to have, obviously latency is a big deal, right? Just just not distracting or frustrating people with it seems like I was looking at your a video of the Antiques Roadshow game. It just seems like longer, higher latency times would just kill it. So is that something you've really focused on in your platform, and sort of what have you found to be kind of the sweet spot for the acceptable latency?
Yeah, it depends on what widget we're talking about, and like when you're just showcasing featuring chat or even donations, there's kind of built-in latency. When an Act Blue donation occurs, we actually have to wait 2 minutes for it to hit us, the webhook. So there's certain ones where it's an issue, but for sure, when you're talking about polling or meters, it's really important to have, and if you want, or trivia, if you wanted to trigger an event, it's really important to have low latency. And so definitely for those types of features, you want as low latency as possible. There are creative solves for it. I think you're right, like that Antiques Roadshow is a good example where we were live on 3 platforms. So we were live on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. And so Twitch, you have between 2 and 5 second latency. YouTube is maybe about 10-second latency, and Facebook is 40-second latency. And so for that one, we're doing trivia, and we had to organize the show so that the trivia questions would last something like be on the screen for about 2 minutes, because you're waiting 40 seconds for the viewers on Facebook even to see the question, let alone vote for it. So, we solved for it by having long trivia questions. If you want to do something like HQ trivia, you're going to have to have a low latency platform. One that I'm really keen on is Amazon IVS. They've taken kind of the pipes from Twitch and have their own low latency kind of white label service that's been really nice. But yeah, it's important. Latency is important when it comes to gamification. I think that's another educational thing. Our customers don't always connect to that yet, and don't know why they should care about latency, but it definitely affects the creative.
Well, and they don't know why they should care about it until it becomes a problem.
Until you're like, let's wait 40 seconds to ask the next trivia question.
Yeah. So another thing I was reading about on your blog that I thought was really interesting was the work with WGBH and the Choose Your Own Adventure with Arthur. Arthur was a big part of my life about 13 years ago. you know. So that was really interesting to read about that. So how did that one come about, and what was the sort of collaborative creative process with that?
That was a really exciting project. It was called Chat Plays GBH. And basically, GBH has this awesome kind of new media emerging platforms team, which is like a skunkworks team assembled at GBH to just investigate new platforms and see how they can take kind of a legacy media company into the future. And so they connected with me about interactive live streaming. They were really interested in the space. We are too. And so we decided, at first we are like, let's write a blog together, kind of similar to what you ended up seeing. And then we kind of decided, let's actually instead make a showcase, a variety show, kind of showing what's possible in interactive live streaming, and let's use this amazing intellectual property that they have access to. So we made 5 different shows that kind of ramped up the interactive levels as they went, and just kind of were intended to show, here's what you could do when you make a show with the audience. And so we started really simple with a Q&A show with some scientists. And then there was a cooking competition where the chefs were controlled by different platforms. So Facebook controlled one chef and YouTube controlled another. There was the Arthur Choose Your Own Arth Venture that you referred to. And there was a show that was called Chatsterpiece, which was basically the audience creating their own Masterpiece Theater episode. And lastly, there was an Antiques Roadshow gamified kind of prediction based game. And so super fun. The Arthur one was really interesting. Basically, the way that we did that was we had access to all of the archives for every Arthur show, and we made a story tree, an interactive story tree with them, kind of mapping out all of the different parallel narratives that could happen when the audience chose different choices. And the idea was this is going to be a live stream event where the audience makes choices as they go together collectively. It's sort of called crowd play. You know, they're all playing as one player, choosing their own adventure. And I think what makes it really exciting to me about that format is that it's not like Bandersnatch where you can kind of go back and try it again, or you know that there was another choice or whatever. You're kind of just dictating the choice together live, and that there's a kind of FOMO, you had to be there appeal to that to me. So that was really fun. Yeah, we mapped out a bunch of different choices, and the audience played through it, and I think they got a real kick out of it.
Well, I imagine it didn't go as dark as Bandersnatch either, probably with Arthur.
No, and actually one of the mandates from the show is it had to end in a sincere, sentimental ending. And we kind of made a joke about that where the last choice, all of the choices would go to different directions, but the last choice, no matter what, was how should it end? And the options were sincerely, earnestly, or like, you know, they're all just like basically the same, and it went to the same path of just like this sweet kind of sentimental ending, which was really cute.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, yeah, it couldn't go dark, and that was one of the things that the producers of Arthur made sure didn't happen. But it got weird, you know. There was definitely a bunch of squids and aliens, and the audience made some bizarre choices. But it still sort of made sense. It was kind of cool.
Cool. Well, so I think just the last question I had, sort of circling back to the virtual events. So we've done 3 streaming media virtual events since last April. And each one of them there's been at least one sort of awkward moment where somebody from the streaming world on a panel has talked about what a great year it's been. And then they backtrack and they say, well, we know it's been really difficult in a lot of ways for a lot of people, but I mean, it has been a big year for streaming, and particularly for remote and virtual events. And I think it's been a great year for discovering the possibilities of what you can do with virtual events, and the cost savings and so forth, not having to be on location. Um, what do you see as the role of virtual events, whether in political campaigns or elsewhere, going forward, as the world hopefully opens up a little more?
Yeah, I think they're here to stay. I think hybrid events will be a big piece of this too, where you have this intermix of a live audience online as well as a IRL audience. Yeah, you alluded to it. There's big cost savings with virtual events. You don't need a venue, you don't need in-person crew. You can have amazing talent come to your show because it's easier for them to dial in remotely than it is to get on a jet and fly out somewhere. So and certainly when it comes to politics, the appeal of grassroots donations that can come in from around the world is huge. And um, I think people have just noticed the benefits of a global audience and the reach that that can provide. Um, so I think it's here to stay. I'm really interested to see where we can push it further by, you know, having online audiences change an in-person event. I want to be at concerts where the online audience is affecting the visuals that people are seeing in the concert. Um, I'm big on, I'm big on tapping into the creativity of the audience and using that in the show. And I think the value there with a global audience is huge because, you know, one of the best things about our tool set is we really give the creator and the producer of the show moderation and curation tools that make it very easy to kind of handpick the best audience submissions from any platform. And I think that's really potent when when it comes to a big global audience. If you can prompt the audience for a creative request, they give you all this stuff, even if 95% of it is not usable. If you can just pick out those gems, and our tools give you the ability to do that, then you can really use that to make comedy, make the audience feel like they're part of it, build community, kind of co-create your show with the audience. And you can do that, you know, you can do that far better with a virtual or hybrid event than you could in person. Even when it comes to Q&A, like if you think about a Q&A in person, people raise their hand, you call on the person in the back, they might be a conspiracy theorist, you don't know what you're getting. With a virtual or hybrid event, you can pick and choose the best of the best and use that, and kind of also push the audience to uh, give you meaningful engagement and positive sentiment. And yeah, if they know that their engagement is going to be part of the show, it really is sort of encouraging them to be good actors and provide useful material. So I think the benefits of kind of having a virtual audience are many, and I think this pandemic has gone on to sort of demonstrate that to a lot of people, and we're really just at the start of what's possible when it comes to a show that says what would meaningful participation look like? What does it look like to improvise a little bit when the audience, you know, is obsessed with a meme and on the spot? You know, can your show go in that direction and reward them for this cool idea that just came up? So I'm excited about sort of like reactive storytelling and audience participation and where it can go. And I do think this pandemic has kind of forced that into the spotlight, and the benefits are now clear. And so I'm excited to go back to in-person events. I can't wait to go to my next concert, but I also think that especially for big events, we've seen that the benefits of having a virtual audience are undeniable and can only be improved on from here.